The mayor of Uvalde is claiming that the AG, the attorney general, is covering up the investigation of the police who failed to act that day. In case you live under a rock, the Uvalde massacre was a hours-long ordeal which ended in the deaths of, I think, 19 students, and I think there were a couple teachers, and the stories that came out of this were just some of the most horrific things you've ever heard regarding a school shooting. There were kids who were trying to text out of there for help who were killed during texting. There were kids who were called that were killed. There are kids who were essentially hearing like the murder of students on the other side of a wall from them. And the police stood in the hallway for over an hour doing fucking nothing. There were hundreds of police there, and none of them did anything until like the shooting died down, basically allowing the killer to have free reign over this crowd of students trapped in a room. The footage of that day is horrifying. They cut out the screams of the children before releasing it. And while there are children screaming, being murdered in the background, these pigs are scrolling on their phones like it's a fucking Tuesday. And so here's from an article that's titled Uvalde Mayor Alleges Covered Up in Robb Elementary School Shooting Investigation. And it says Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin called on District Attorney Christina Mitchell to resign over her handling of the Robb Elementary School shooting investigation. McLaughlin also said Monday that the city of Uvalde was waiting for documents, including autopsy reports from Mitchell's office, in order to conclude its own investigation more than 15 months after the shooting that killed 19 children and 2 teachers. It's weird to think that was barely over a year ago. Since day one, we have called for transparency from every agency that was there that day, local, state, and federal agencies. We are all agents, we are all adults, and need to just lay the facts on the table. So the initial lawsuit was dismissed because the DA Mitchell promised to cooperate with the city, and then she failed, so the city had to file a new suit against the AG. So these records basically hold the answer as to whether any kids would have been saved by a quicker police response. The police are claiming that the majority, which even if it was the majority, it still doesn't matter, because you want to save any lives you can save. It matters. Like if 50 kids, well, if 17 kids were already dead and there was 2 left, you could have saved those 2 lives. But they stood there for so fucking long, and there was gunfire happening the whole time. So I refuse to trust these fucking pigs when they say that they couldn't have saved any of those children. It's just a fucking lie. They were holding parents outside of that building, not letting them go in. Like, it's just fucking disgusting. The police are just the worst fucking organization in this country, and they shouldn't be responsible for solving crimes or preventing crimes. So 90 people from Texas DPS and 150 Border Patrol agents. Well, I guess that makes sense. It's Border Patrol, the fucking biggest pussies in America. So, they claim that all of the kids were basically killed before they even could do anything, so it doesn't really matter. But, so Mitchell, the AG, said she wouldn't resign. She defended her investigation and said McLaughlin is actually the one making excuses for why he isn't finishing his investigation. But if we actually go to this piece, it says Mitchell told the Express News that she was planning to bring a case to the grand jury by the end of the year. If we click on this, the person who she was asking to do the autopsies claims that she doesn't, here, let's get to this part. So Mitchell is conducting a review with an investigator already on the DA's payroll and special prosecutor Bill Turner, a former Brazos County DA. His salary is paid from a $1.4 million grant that the state of Texas awarded Uvalde last summer in the wake of the shooting. The grant also covered county first responders' costs for the day and the massacre, and paid overtime and the autopsies of the 21 victims and the shooter. She has not asked Uvalde County for any additional funding, and Dr. Mark Eskett, The chief medical officer for DPS and the city of Austin has been leading a panel of experts convened by the Texas Rangers to determine whether any of the children or teachers killed at Robb Elementary would have survived if first responders had gotten to them sooner. Officials have said the gunman shot most of his victims within the first few minutes after he entered the school through an unlocked side door. Mitchell had planned to use the results of the review by Escott's panel to help determine whether to charge any responding officers. However, Escott told ABC News earlier this month that he had requested autopsy reports from Mitchell's office last fall, but had not yet received any of them. In a statement to the Express News on Tuesday, he said, the Uvalde DA's office notified me that they are moving in a different direction and no longer wish to have an analysis performed related to the Robb Elementary shooting. Mitchell declined to comment on Escott's remarks, whether her office has given him the information or whether he remains a go-to medical expert for her investigation. It's disappointing to have a potential expert on this case discussing it in the press, Mitchell said. So I think it's pretty clear what's happening here, and it's that I said AG, but it's actually the DA. The DA plans to drag her feet until there's no evidence left. If those autopsies weren't performed right away, there's no determining whether those kids died a minute apart, an hour apart, or anything like that. So they're just going to drag their feet until this goes away. And that possibly dozens, maybe even just a few people who are responsible for failing and botching the efforts to save those kids that day are going to go off the hook, just like police always do.